You heard, but all we need this morning is our TheraBand and kick off your shoes. So that's all you gotta do. Okay. Woohoo, woohoo, happy Monday. All right, first 20 seconds, all we got to do is pedal through our feet. So pick up one heel and then the other. We just want to start to get the ankle joints moving, a little bit of stretch to the bottoms of the feet and the toes, and then just tune in here. So we want to really get a good sense of how are your feet feeling and how are your ankles feeling so that you can go light or hard when we work through the feet later. Got 2 seconds left here. All right, and now we're just gonna take it into some knee bends. So keep your heels on the ground, a little like demi squat. So just bend your knees and then push yourself right back up. And then think about here just for these next 10 seconds, keeping your weight nice and evenly distributed on both feet. 3 seconds left. All right, and now we're gonna take it into some knee lifts. So we're gonna find a little transfer of weight, but see if you can make it a subtle transfer of weight. So not big and dramatic, we're not wobbling all over the place, but just pick one knee up and then the other. And we're hinging from the hip to do that. And right away, starting to find a little bit of engagement or work right at our center. And time. Okay, grab your TheraBand. The next 30 seconds of work, we're gonna keep it about a shoulder width distance grab, but get it so that you gotta maintain a little bit of a pull apart. And then we're just gonna start to twist. It doesn't have to be huge or dramatic. We just want a little engagement in the armpit chest as we pull that band apart and then start to find a little rotation in the spine just to get the spine and the central nervous system on board. So everybody's coming to the fitness party. And then see if you can just keep your hips fairly even facing forward so they're not moving with this twist. Most of the movement's coming from the upper body. About 5 seconds left here. All right, and now take a wider grip, come to center, and just start to flip the arms up and overhead. And a really super wide grip. So get a little bit of feedback from the TheraBand, but mostly it's really free to move forward and back. And then just tune in here. Notice how your shoulders are feeling this morning. Got about 10 seconds left to work here. And time. Nicely done. Okay, now we're going to take it into a wider stance. So step your feet out for like that sumo squat position. So toes and knees are going to be turned out slightly. And we're going to find a nice grip on the TheraBand so that we can pull it apart at the chest, but make it so that it's going to be a light bit of work. We want to just kind of ease into this, and we're going to take it into a slow motion movement. So we're going to slow motion, sink into our sumo squat, and then slow motion rise back up. So not letting that band snap back, but really controlling it the whole way. So we're going to slow motion, pull it apart, lower down, slow motion, bring it back together. Most of the work we want to find is in the upper body and the chest. But of course, you're getting some work in your squat. So just make your squat a depth that your knees are happy with and your hips can handle as they start to warm up. Nice, you guys, that looks wonderful. And now start to notice as you start to get deeper into this movement here, you'll start to feel a little heat. Check your belly. So make sure that you're not doing so much work in the chest that you're losing control in the belly. So keep a little bit of a firmness in your center. 16 seconds left. You got this. Nice and slow motion here. And time. Awesome job. Woo! Lower those arms down, shake out those legs. Okay, now we're going to take the TheraBand and just give yourself a second to set it up. So you're going to set it on the ground so it's nice and flat. And then you're going to step your foot long ways on the TheraBand and then start to pull the TheraBand up so that your toes lift. So we want to get a nice little, we're going to work at the bottom of the foot. So we're going to get the toes to lift. And then you're just going to, and you might not be able to see it on camera, but you're going to press your toes down and then pull your toes back up with control. So you're going to maintain a nice pull on the TheraBand. So you have to work through the bottoms of the foot. Readjust it if you need to so that you're not, so you get all toes on the TheraBand. And then just you control how much tension you're holding on the TheraBand. So if you've got like plantar fasciitis or any stuff like that going on, or like fused bones in the feet, any of that kind of stuff, take it slow and mindful. And it doesn't have to be an extreme pull on the TheraBand. We just want to feel some work happening. Toes pressing down, working through the bottom of the foot. Keep a nice tall posture, maintain a little bit of firmness in the tummy. And then once you've got that action down, you know what you're doing, lift your head, draw the shoulders down and back, but keep that going, pressing the toes down and then lifting them up with control. So don't let the band snap you back. Don't ricochet the toes up, but a controlled movement down and a controlled lift up. Yeah, 10 seconds left on this foot. And I know this might feel like really small and simple work. All right, release it, shake that foot out. I'm going to take it to the other side, but I like to keep the feet just as healthy as the rest of the body because it's all connected and our feet are loaded up like 95% of the day. We're loading our feet with stuff. So switch over to the other foot, move your TheraBand over, make sure it's nice and flat under the foot, and then pull up on the TheraBand so the toes lift. Once you've got a nice feeling of sensation under the foot, away we go, pressing the toes down and lifting the toes up with control. So it's subtle, but it's really good for the bottoms of the feet. And then think about that chain of command that it's connected to. So we're working up into the shins and the calves. All of that's connected to the knees and all the way on up. So we want to keep our feet healthy, our ankles strong, so that our knees stay happy and healthy up to the hips and then the rest of the body. And then once you've got that motion down, you know what you're doing. You don't need to look at your foot anymore. So keep your head lifted, keep your belly firm, and just tune into that bottom of the foot, pushing the toes down and lifting them up with control. You've got 5 seconds left here. And time, awesome job. Step your foot off, give everything a good shake. But now we're gonna keep with that TheraBand through our whole practice, except for at the end. So now we're gonna make our TheraBand into a little U, set the bottom of the U down on the ground, step your feet onto the TheraBand, and then start to lift up and crisscross your TheraBand. Once you've got a nice firm crisscross in your TheraBand, we're gonna start to take some steps side to side. So we're gonna sink into a light little squat and start to step about 3 steps to one side. Really pull on the TheraBand so you create a resistance. And then we wanna find some work in the outer thighs and the inner thighs. So we're controlling those steps. So we're not letting the TheraBand snap us into that step, but we're doing the work to control that movement so we don't get ricocheted across our mat. Nice. Already halfway there, awesome. And then just see if you can find and feel that work, the outer thighs at the inner thighs, and just a nice low squat. So you're really finding an engagement in the quads as well. Ten seconds left. And time, nicely done. Keep the TheraBand under your feet, but now undo the crisscross. We're gonna take it into a squat and then add an overhead press. So we're gonna sink the butt down. And then as you come up, reach those arms up and overhead, stretch the TheraBand as much as you can. Don't let your arms snap back down. Sink into your squat, push your butt down and back, and then raise your arms up, but don't let the TheraBand snap you back into place. We got 1 minute on the clock and you're taking this at your pace. Think about finding a nice even distance between your knees. And if you like, allow the TheraBand to give you a little feedback. So you feel it touching the sides of your knees. Keep and maintain that touch. And then as you rise up, press the arms up. Already halfway there. And then once you've got that motion down, if you're feeling like you're firing away, ready to go, you can pick up the pace, but just make sure that you're maintaining that nice even distance between the knees and a nice even up and down with your arms. 5 seconds left. And time. Awesome job. Step your feet off your TheraBand. Give everything a little soft shake. And now we're back to a squat. I got to check my notes, make sure I'm staying on track. Yes. All right. So take your TheraBand and you're going to drop it behind the back. And the other hand, palm facing backwards, is going to grab the other end. But we're only going to work from the top arm. So now we're going to sink into a little squat and we're just going to pick the top arm up and lower it with control. So we're going to start to find some work in the tricep, staying on this side for 1 minute. So we're in that nice little squatted position, holding on tight with the bottom arm, pressing up with the top arm. Nice. Keep a little bit of a firmness in your center. So we keep the low back supported. The spine is nice and long. And so here in this little squatty position, if your chin is way lifted up, tuck it slightly just so you keep that nice long line from the crown of your head to your tailbone. All right, now for this last 10 seconds, rise up and do just a little floss maneuver. Pull up and pull down. Just kind of work through those arms. And time, release. Woo, shake out your arms. Now we got to take that to the other side. So take your TheraBand into your other arm, drop it down the back. Other bottom hand is going to be palm facing out. Grab hold of the TheraBand. And then we're working with the top arm. So find your little squat position. And then away we go. Pulling that top hand up, lowering it with control. If you're finding you're not getting enough work, just choke up on the TheraBand a little bit more, finding some better resistance. So you control how much resistance you're getting here. And we just want to start to find some work through the back of that top arm and a little stability in the bottom arm. Firmness in the belly, a little bit of work in the legs. Already halfway there. All right, now for this last 10 seconds, soften it up on your legs and floss it out, just lifting up and lowering down with that bottom arm. And time, beautiful work. Let that go, shake your arms out. All right, now we're gonna take it into a little Pilates V stance. So heels together, toes turn out to the left and to the right. We're gonna maintain that nice little V position with the feet and start by just finding a little demi-plie. So we're sinking the knees down and then hugging the inner thighs together. So find that little plie position. And then once you feel like you've got that, add on the TheraBand. Palms facing up, elbows hugging in at the side. As you lower down, you're gonna pull the TheraBand apart, externally rotating the shoulders, and then bringing it back in with control. So we lower, dip the knees, and then bring it all back in. Nice. Now check your posture here. Since we're working through the shoulders, we want to make sure that we're keeping a nice tall line. So think about drawing the tailbone down, but the crown of the head lifts up. So we keep a nice tall posture and just rotate the shoulders out. You control how far out they go, and you control how much resistance you're choked up on the TheraBand to find. So work in a way that feels right to you. Seven seconds left here. Now we're going to keep those feet together in that Pilates V stance. So heels together, toes turned out to the left and the right. but now we're gonna take it up in front of the chest. So if you can, wrap your hands around so you get a nice firm hold of the TheraBand, and we're gonna open out at the chest and bring it back in. So finding work again up in the upper shoulder area, but now we're taking it into the chest a little bit. So maintaining that squat, rising up, but we pull apart at the chest and then bring it back in. And now if this doesn't feel like quite enough work for you, you're gonna add on a little heel lift, lower the heels. Demi-plie, open the arms, come back up and rise up on the heels. Nice. Keep a nice firmness in your belly. Make sure your low back feels supported. Already halfway there. Man, you guys are amazing. And time. Woo! Lower those arms down, shake your shoulders out. We're gonna step back onto our TheraBand. So make that little U shape, get it all situated, step your feet on. Feet are gonna be about hip width distance apart. And now we're gonna find a deadlift maneuver. So you're gonna walk your hands down the TheraBand just a little bit so you feel a little tug on the band in the upright position. Now we're gonna hinge from the waist. Lean yourself over and then pull on the TheraBand to come back up. Hinge from your waist, lean forward, and then pull on the TheraBand to come up. We got 1 minute on the clock here. You're gonna work at your pace. If you're not finding quite enough work, then you're gonna choke up a little bit more, really walk your hands down. So as you pull up, you find some work in the backs of your legs. And if you can't find it here, slow everything down. Imagine that you're going in a slow motion maneuver. So you really feel the backs of the legs as you lift up and a little squeeze of the glutes. Think about almost thrusting the hips forward to come up. Nice, you guys. Beautiful hinges. Woohoo! "20 seconds left. And time. Awesome job. Step your feet off. Woo. And we're going to come down to the ground. And again, we're going to work through the bottoms of the feet here. So we're going to take the TheraBand and wrap it around the bottom of the foot. Now you can just cup it under the foot, but if you really want to make sure it maintains its space, you can always double loop it around. I just like the single TheraBand under the foot. So we're going to extend the right leg out, hug your left leg in, or put your left leg in any position that feels good to you. So we can keep a nice tall posture. And now we're just going to point the toes and then pull the toes in. So you're going to hold onto that TheraBand and create a little resistance and then work through the foot and the ankle. So point the toes, pull the toes with control. So the TheraBand isn't ricocheting the toes back in, but resisting that ricochet to work through the foot and the ankle. Nice. You're already halfway there on this foot. And time. Keep that leg out there and then slide your other leg forward so you catch hold of the other foot and then bring your other foot back in so that we can work through the other foot. Hold on tight, point the toes, and then flex the toes. You maintain how much control or how much resistance you're getting with the TheraBand. So if you know you've got stuff going on with your feet, with your toes or your ankles, maybe a light bit of resistance so you can pay attention and find feedback, but not work so hard against yourself that you're causing injury. But if it's all feeling good, a nice tight pull on that TheraBand, and really find that work through the toes, the bottoms, the feet, and the ankles. And then again, you want to make sure you resist. So you're not snapping the foot back, but pulling the toes in with control. "20 seconds left on this side. And time. Beautiful job. Okay, now we're going to step both feet into the bottom of that TheraBand, so back into that U shape. We're going to choke up on the TheraBand, find a nice bit of work here. Knees bent. We're going to lean back into a V-sit position, and we're just going to pull the elbows back towards the ribs, and then with control, bring them towards the knees. Pull the elbows back towards the ribs. With control, bring them back towards the knees. We got 1 minute on the clock. If you feel like you're not finding quite enough work here, you can always lift the feet up, hold and maintain that V position, and then pull the elbows back to the ribs and bring them back with control. Keep a slight firmness in your center. So most of the movement is coming out of the shoulders. And time. Woo! Lower those legs down if you're holding them all the way up. Now we're going to take it down onto the ground. We're going to loop the TheraBand around the right foot and then come down onto your back side. From here, just allow the leg to lift. We're going to find a bent knee position. So think about having your knee in line with your hip, and then walk your hands up nice and tight on the TheraBand, and then take your elbows down to the ground. So we're going to firm up our arms, firm up our grip on the TheraBand, and then think about pushing your leg down, pulling the knee back in with control. So that's all you got to do. Hold on tight to that TheraBand, push your knee forward, or think about pushing your heel towards the end of your mat, and then drawing the knee back up in line with the hip with control. If you feel like you're not finding quite enough work here, walk your hands down a little further towards the ends of the TheraBand so that you find a little extra resistance. Work in a way that feels right to you. We want to find a little heat in the quads, pushing that knee down, pulling it up with control. But you might also find a little bit of light work in the back of the leg. So just notice where you're feeling sensation. And then if it feels like your hips are wiggling and wobbling all over the place, anchor into your left leg, the leg that's on the ground. And then think about keeping your hips as level as you can, so you're finding the work coming out of the hinge of your hip and in the top of your thigh. And time. Nice. But keep that TheraBand on that foot. We're going to work it right into some single leg circles here. So you're going to hold on to both ends of your TheraBand with your right hand. Let your left hand come out like a little bit of an anchor, a light point in the toe just to find some length in the leg. And we're going to start to circle that leg around. So we're going to swing it across the midline of the body, circle it out, and bring it back up. If you like working with the breath here, you're going to inhale as you lower down and exhale to bring the leg back up. So the exhale is going to help with the effort. We got 1 minute on the clock. We're going to switch directions in about 30 seconds. So move it at your pace. If you're noticing any clicking or any funky stuff going on in the hip, make your circles a little bit smaller until you find a comfortable position that feels right for your legs. Five seconds left in this direction. And now go the other way. So we swing the leg out, circle it down across the midline, exhale takes you back up. And you might be feeling a little work in the arm here. As you hold on to that TheraBand, so you might feel a little work in your grip and a little work in your forearm. Nice. Now the next time your leg circles around up towards the sky, stay there. And now we're going to lift the other leg up and then take it up into that TheraBand, switching sides. So now you're going to hold on to that TheraBand, send your right leg long, find a bent knee position, and then walk your hands up the TheraBand to find a good sense of resistance that works right for you. Knee in line with the hip. We're going to press that heel forward and draw it back in with control. We got 1 minute on the clock. You're going to work at your pace and the depth that feels right to you. So as much resistance on that band as feels good. Anchor into your right leg. Keep your hips nice and level. Keep a nice firmness in your center. And keep your elbows anchored on the ground to help hold that TheraBand in place and find some good resistance working through the top of the thigh. Nice, you guys. That looks excellent. Beautiful work. And time. Nicely done. Send that heel up towards the sky. So we're going to stick with that leg back to those single leg circles. So hold on to both ends of the band with your left hand. Anchor your elbow down, a little point in the toes. We swing the leg across the midline, circle it up and around. Take it at your pace. Stay anchored in your right leg. And if you're working with the breath, allow your exhale to help you on the effort. And switch directions, go the other way. Swing it out nice and wide, come across the midline, let your exhale carry that leg up. And time, beautiful job. Let your foot come out of that TheraBand, walk your heels in a little closer to your butt. We're gonna set it for a bridge position here, but just for a second, wriggle out your fingers and shake out your wrists because holding on to that TheraBand really does work in the grip of the hands. So just make sure everything feels a little bit soothed out. And now we're gonna take the TheraBand and just put it across the thighs. So start by just lining it up across the thighs and then plant your hands on the TheraBand. We're going to hold that TheraBand down on the ground across the hips and then into a bridge position. So we're going to hold the TheraBand down, find a little resistance, lift the hips up, lower with control. So don't let the TheraBand ricochet you up. If you're not finding quite enough work, walk in a little bit closer to the TheraBand, find the resistance that works for you. Lift the hips up and lower with control. And time. Beautiful work, you guys. Move that TheraBand off your hips. Give your hands a little shake. Make sure everything feels good. Our last minute of work is TheraBand 3. Free. TheraBand 3. Take 3 TheraBands. Okay, lift your knees up in line with your hips. Hug your inner thighs together. And we're just going to lower the toes down towards the ground and pull the toes back up. So we want to maintain that nice, even bend in the knees. We're not going to move the knees at all. The hinge is coming out of the hips. You're going to press the backs of your arms into the earth to find a little bit of stability here. Firm your center up. You don't have to touch the toes to the ground. If you feel that that's too much work and then you lift your low back to find that work, keep it smaller and more subtle so that you find some engagement in your abdominal muscles, and then pull the knees back up with control. You got 3 seconds left. And time. Nice job. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze and a little rock side to side. Awesome. And then when you're ready, you're just going to rock and roll up to a seated position, legs long. Scoot your butt back. Send your legs out in front of you, a little subtle bend in the knees. Take a big breath, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, reach towards your toes. Does not matter if you touch your toes. Not a sweaty work this morning, a little bit of subtle fine tuning work this morning. So I hope that you're not sad about not getting all sweaty. Take one more little stretch here. And then walk yourself on up. We're going to come all the way up to a standing position. And then from here, just clasp your hands behind your back. Get a nice little interlace of the fingers. And then we're just going to take a couple of gentle pumps in the arms, pumping them away from the backside and then bringing them back with control. Nice. And then when you feel good and ready, we're going to fold this over. So a little bend to the knees, hinge of your waist, fold over, and just let your arms fall where they naturally go. So it doesn't need to be extreme. Let gravity work for you a little bit. Let your head hang nice and heavy. Awesome. And then bring your hands toward your low back. Bend your knees, lift from the top of your head, come up slow and controlled. Bring one arm across the body, drop the shoulder down. Take a couple of gentle nods of the head up and down. Bring your head to neutral, release, and switch to the other side. Bring your arm across the body, plug that shoulder down, and then back to the nod of your head up and down. Nice. And then head comes to neutral, release that arm, give them a couple of good swings. You did a lot of nice work in the shoulders there. You guys are amazing. Grab your tennis ball if you're sticking around.